Hi, we're back.
Hi.
What's today? Today's April 26th, 2020. Another week.
Another week, April 26th.
Yep, here we are in our house. Today marks the day I got to go out. Today's the first day in 6 weeks. I have stepped on soil and breathed the air of a queen.
How was it?
I never have been so glad to smell dog shit in all my life. I swear to you. I almost stepped in dog shit and I smiled. Okay?
Again, that's nice.
It is. I appreciate the small things in life.
Is it always like that, or is it just that people aren't picking up like they usually do, or is it always that way?
People don't pick up their shit here at all. It's pretty bad.
Oh,
I think you noticed that when you came, didn't you?
wait. I think that was one of the things I mentioned. It's funny. Last week I said how sophisticated Spaniards are, that you're just behaving so nicely, staying indoors and not fighting on the steps of city halls and government. Uh,
But we
but I
shit.
do remember when I was there, a story you told me about the parks and how some parents just let their kids
Oh.
go pee and poop behind a tree. And we laughed so hard about that because as kind of gross and dirty as New Yorkers, or
Mhm.
just, we can be, garbage, and we're not very good at recycling sometimes, all this, that's something I'd never seen.
Everybody that has come here from New York has told me that. And I've actually have gotten in fights with people about that. I'm that foreigner that is like, excuse me, but are you going to pick that up? Like your kid just shit there. The guy actually turned it around on me. He's like, I'm shocked that a mother would be like this against me. I'm like, against you? Who does this? I said,
And
you go run to a place and you go to the bathroom there. And if not, you let your kid piss his pants or shit his pants. You don't shit on the sidewalk and leave it there. What are you?
so what was the defense?
It's just a kid. I find that's very Spanish, though. Very babying to the kids here. It's just a child. That's a public health issue. You don't crap. I mean, a dog does that, and that's nasty.
Well, human feces. I mean, there's no difference between poopy pup and old dog poop. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't understand.
I couldn't believe it. Did I ever tell you the story about the time where it was right before we bought this house. We went away for the summer. My mother was with us. We were on the Mediterranean, and we went away, and we're out, and this family, I see like a woman with her little kid. She puts him up in a fountain, and the kid starts pissing there into the fountain. And I said to Eduardo, go over there and say something. This is disgusting. So he did. Last time he listened to me because he walked over there. No more than 5 seconds later, I can see him talking to this woman, and he's mild mannered. This guy, gorilla, comes over, like muscle head. Like, we're talking a guy that just got out of Gold's Gym, okay? Comes over, and I see him. I'm like, that guy's going to take Eduardo out with one punch, no doubt. He's like, and I see him. And my mother, who's there, who has no idea how to speak Spanish, but understands what the fight is about. Obviously, this guy's defending his wife and his pissed kid. My mother starts yelling in English in the middle of the place. Ignore the guy. Look at his haircut, for God's sakes. He's an asshole.
Oh, Dorothy. Not knowing whether or not he understands English.
Nah, he definitely had no idea, but you're lucky he could mutter 2 words in his own language. God. Yeah, so
And
yeah, that defecation is not really an issue. It's just like, okay, yeah.
do they just think it's fertilizer? Is that, I don't mean to be, I just try to, I guess I try to understand the rationale behind that. Is that what it is? They just go, it's going on to the dirt and back into the earth?
I don't know if it's that or if it's just like, well, they're just children. I mean, I lived in the biggest ghetto possible when I lived in New York. I mean, I lived in some rough places, and I'm sorry, the lowest class of people still would not do that. Hold their child up while they shit.
You know what? I did see a kid in Coney Island
Oh,
peeing
well,
up.
Coney Island doesn't count.
That doesn't count?
I've
No, it
pissed
wasn't on the
I've
beach.
pissed there right in the
No,
open.
it wasn't on the beach. It was on the Surf Avenue, like where
Oh.
the street is, and the kid just started peeing on a fire hydrant or a lamp. And I was like, we were standing like getting Nathan's, and I was like, is that kid just peeing right there? Like, I get and so
You know
I
what?
take it back. I have seen that once, but that was weird. I was like, oh, come on, man.
I think that's a great story just for the fact that you said the kid was peeing on a fire hydrant, because that's so not human. That's like the human doing exactly what the dog would do.
It
That's a
was
whole other level.
it was like either one of those, like half posts, or it might have been it was something on in between the sidewalk and the street. You know what I'm saying? It
Okay.
was something. I can't really remember what it was, but that was what he was aiming at, and I was like, he was like in his bathing suit, but you go.
Yeah, it's hard to say because anything that goes on in a half-mile radius around Coney Island is probably excusable.
I guess
I mean, we've seen a lot of nasty shit go down there.
Coney Island is.
Oof, I miss it. Boy, do I miss that.
If we do anything this summer, if I can get out to Coney Island, that would be nice. But I did tell you about, I got my freestanding hammock in the backyard. So I'm ready just to be locked down all summer. I'm good. What were we gonna Coney Island is a dream though. I'm so close to it. Nicole, you used to come all the way from Queens on the N train and ride that train.
F.
Oh, you started on the F and just rode it. Didn't you have to transfer? Oh no, the F went all the way out there. That's right. I have to get on the N train to get there from here.
No, but back then you lived off the F train, so it was like.
Yeah. So I didn't have as far to go as you did, but you would get on that train in Queens, ride it into Manhattan, all the way through the whole borough of Brooklyn to get out to Coney Island, and you would get out there on, because we had Fridays off, or you were just you had summer off. I had Fridays off.
Yeah.
And this is like what year? 2000.
Starting from 2004 up until 2008.
7 or 8. Well, that was when you left. And those were like maybe some, I mean, there's always a lot of good New York memories, but those summer like Fridays of getting out there in the morning, and then some people would maybe show up or not, but just getting out there in the morning and just laying on the beach all day. It was like, I think as being like kind of city kid or going to school in the city and just, it's like, it was a good reminder that you could also have kind of a beach life too.
I love those days too. And yeah, I'd have to love it to take that trip that far. I'd be the first one down there too. And I was the furthest away, holding down the fort.
Buying Coronas from the,
Coronas.
And then we would go to Cha-Cha's, which is not there anymore. Cha's over Ruby's always.
Yeah, but Ruby's number 2. Ruby's is not there anymore though.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. But Cha-Cha's, yeah, always Cha-Cha's. And I remember once or twice I tried, this is without you, I think it was when I went with Rachel, maybe once or twice. I attempted to go off the path and go to Brighton Beach just to see what would go on there, which is just one stop over. I felt all off kilter there. It didn't.
It's the old Russian guys in Speedos.
Everybody that was there was wearing like leopard Speedos, and it's like I can't have a beer and a hot dog and just glimpse at whoever's nodding off. I need to go there and have vodka on the rocks and watch, Gorbachev dance around like what's his name, Bam Bam Flintstone or whatever.
What's the name of did you ever get the stuff, the Coke? I don't remember how it's like the coconut milk with the rum, and they would sell it in like a Poland Spring bottle. Cause it was it was like a Puerto Rican drink.
Oh, but they sold it on the beach or
did you ever buy that?
Maybe never bought that.
Because we would get Coronas, but then they would sell this like homemade hooch kind of like but it was like some kind of rum. Oh, that was so good.
I probably tried it before with you. I mean, we also left there a lot of times. I don't even know how I left there and was able to go all the way back to Queens standing, got out there. I mean, after a days of, I don't know though, one of the best memories was, I think it was the week before I moved out of the city. Before I moved to Spain, I moved out of the city first to my mom's house for like a week. And right before I'd gone down there with you, and I don't know if I should say the name, but we saw somebody on the train whose book I was reading. God, I tell people that story, they die. They love it.
It was.
Should I say it?
Yeah, sure. I think it was like late enough, like the fireworks. It was Friday night fireworks, right?
We never made it that late because we got there so early. I don't think we made it that late.
Go ahead.
So we're on the train, and I think I see Daniel Auster, the son of Paul Auster. And the reason I know him is because he's about a year or two older than I am, but he went to SUNY Purchase, where I went. And we were friendly. We had a lot of friends in common, but I hadn't seen him in years. So I see him in the distance, and I'm pretty lit from the day at Coney. And I say, oh my God, look who it is. And we walk over. He kisses me all sweaty, nasty. And I say, this is such a coincidence. You're never going to believe what I was just doing. And I pull out of my bag his father's latest book that I was literally just reading. He looks at it and he does one of these, totally a scene I never would have expected. Looks at me and goes, is this from the library? Here I am thinking that I'm like just making small talk, like, look, I got your father's book. Now I got the vibe change. Like, he's pissed that I got this book from the library and I didn't buy it. I'm like, yeah. Like, is this a faux pas? I guess this is a faux pas. And that was kind of it.
I'll never speak to her again.
Yeah, he kissed me and then he's like, bye. And I was like, did I not contribute to your fund? I mean, what
support the artist.
That was the end of that. But what a weird interaction, but it made a great story for afterwards.
It made me think of how I'm banned from the Brooklyn Public Library because I remember I was trying to return books, and every time I would go by, they were closed. And you know how like I don't know if it's like a city thing, but where I grew up upstate, they would have those things where you could deposit the books.
Yeah.
Like that library doesn't have that. You have to wait until they're open to return the books.
Yeah, all city libraries are like that.
What do you mean? You have to return them when they're open?
Yeah, there's no slot.
Is that like because it's city?
I mean, the slot is like a suburban thing. It's not a...
So this is like 2002. I had just moved to Brooklyn and I had a Brooklyn public library card, but I was trying to return these books, but every time I had the day off and got there, it was closed. And so it was like maybe the third or fourth time I'm carrying like all these books, trying to return them. And it was closed again, and I fucking threw them over the fence into the yard.
Literary rebel.
I just, I was so pissed. I just threw them over the, like, I'm looking up and down. Is anybody?
You're like fucking Catcher in the Rye.
I mean, there might have been video on the street, and this was in Park Slope.
What book was it?
It was like 3 or 4 books, and they were heavy. I don't remember. It was a couple books, but I remember like we moved to a different neighborhood. Now we in a different neighborhood. I'm probably on some list from the Brooklyn Public Library.
You just couldn't take it anymore.
I couldn't bring them back again. Like I was like, it was like the third or fourth time, and it was on my way to the gym, I think, and it just got annoying, and I chucked them over the fence, and that was it. I was like, there, take them.
I've had one of those New York, I'm fed up moments where, again, I think it was the last summer I was there, I'm walking along, and I see this kid for the second time, probably 14, 15 with a summer job, delivering, now this is the year 2000, this is the summer of 2008, delivering the Yellow Pages, 2 of them, like giant thing, and putting them on my doorstep, and I started yelling like a lunatic from across the road. Stop putting those books on my doorstep. Who uses that?
Yeah, he just was giving them all like to the whole building and just left them there.
Who's using this anymore?
I don't think. Yeah, they don't do that anymore, right? Those aren't.
No.
Oh shit, that was so funny.
That is funny. I'm picturing you throwing those books over the fence.
I can't be the only person that's done that. Like,
I bet you they were glad to get it back. They probably were like scanning that shit in the next day. I'm sure it wasn't the first and it wasn't the last.
Anyway.
Now so that's a stroll back to the late 2000s.
You know, everybody would just put their books out on the street. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if they want to give their books away, and it's such a. I remember, you know, when New York went through like the bed bug thing, it was like, oh, you can't do that anymore. And like, there's so many things I hope go away. Have you thought about that? Like, yeah. I'm really looking forward to this not being a thing anymore.
Things with big crowds or, well, I keep wondering because I live in a culture. Just to remind everybody here, Erica's in Brooklyn. I'm in Madrid.
Right.
Spain is a culture where you kiss everybody who you meet, regardless of who it is.
And we're both Italian.
Yeah, so we got the warmth in us. But, you know, I got the cold in me, too. I'm like, do I really have to kiss everybody and say, nice to meet you? It's not that nice to meet you. But now I can. Now I can be like, well, now I'll just pretend it's a germaphobe thing. When the truth is, I'm not concerned about getting anything necessarily, but I don't want to kiss you when I meet you.
Now we have a reason.
Yeah, but I'm curious about how that's going to go down because it's part of the culture where you kiss everybody. But I overheard that doctor, what's Fauci, is that his name? Talking about how we shouldn't even be before this even started, we should not have even been shaking hands with people. That's how gross it is.
There is a person that I've told you about that's been kind of, you know, somebody worked with me professionally and then doesn't anymore. And when I'd see him out at functions, he would give me this like hug, and it was like, I felt like I hated every time he did that because it was like he wanted other people to see that we were cool, and we weren't cool. I don't like him. He knows I don't like him. You know what I mean? And I hated that. And I so was ready to like, the next time he does that, I'm going to say something.
Well,
now
what did
I'm not going to have that chance.
He hugged or he like smooched?
Oh, go in like for the big hug. Like we've known each other for so long. We're so cool. And I'd be like,
yeah.
we don't have to hug. I mean, I don't have any, hard feelings. Like that's how, no hard feelings, but you don't have to hug me. You don't have to like put your arm
Yeah.
around me and act like we're family. And I don't want to be a jerk because New York, I don't know. It's funny. New Yorkers are weird. Like everybody hugs. Like you meet somebody for the first time and they're giving you a hug. Like I kind of, okay,
Yeah,
but
but not really.
now
It's
I
not.
kind of hope that goes away. Like, what is, the Japanese have it the best, let's do the bow.
Yeah, no contact. Well, for a while they're doing that dumb elbow thing, which is, that's an excuse of a greeting.
I
No.
don't like, no.
So yeah, that part I'm wondering how that's gonna pick up, what we're gonna do about that afterwards. But other things, I'm fine keeping distances from people. As long as I can go out and go about my life and do the things I want to do and blah blah blah, I don't need to be near large groups of people.
How do you think it's affecting kids though? Let's talk about that a little, because I do really think that younger people are really, I mean, they might go into the next school year not being, I mean, I don't know what things will.
Well, I don't think they're going to go back to school. I mean, my kids are 4.5 and 9. I'm pretty sure they're not going to go back to school this year.
But I
But
mean, just like
they're
socially, it's not good for kids. Like we can kind of wrap our heads around this
yeah.
at our age, and we're able to even talk about things and laugh, but like I feel like kids are still developing and supposed to be going through developmental social things, and without that, that's going to affect them. It sucks.
I mean, I think they're pretty adaptable in terms of I think if from what I've seen, when they're happy and they feel good at home, they adapt pretty well. But what you said, I'm totally in agreement with, and it makes me mad when people say things like, and I've heard this since we were allowed to go out today, people who don't have kids, and I'm sensitive to it, but they say things like, and what about us? How come we can't go out? How come the people with kids can take their kids out? I'm like, there's the big feminists supporting women, like, because it has nothing to do with going out. It has to do with their development. I mean, they listen to any doctor talk about vitamin D exposure and all this other stuff, that kids have to be out and they move differently than we do.
That reminds me of like the people who will complain at like a job for not getting a smoke break because they're not a smoker.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah.
I mean, are they, so if you don't have a kid, you can't go out?
Well, this is what's happening. Today is the first
Go to the
day.
grocery store, so, right?
Today's the first day in 6 weeks that we're allowed to go out. If you have a kid, one adult can take the whole family out, okay? So people with dogs up until this point have been allowed to take little walks, but anyone else, no. But next week, next Sunday, everyone supposedly is going to be allowed to take walks with the 2-meter distance and all that business. Like, so people are going to complain about 1 week difference. Like the kids got to go out 1 week before they did. I mean, it's just stupid.
I have a dumb question. I know proximity, you're very close to the grocery store, but like, come on, can I go to the grocery store and walk a block out of my way before I go home? If
Exactly.
I mean, is it that patrolled? Like, can't you take a long walk on your way home with your,
No, the most they're gonna do, because I've heard this, is they'll be like, oh, "Where are you going? Home. Where do you live? Here's where I live. You show your ID, and it's no problem." It's people who are just riding along on their bikes or running for the sake of running, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, you have to go out with a mission. I mean,
you're unfortunately very close to the grocery store.
I know. I said it's the first time where I'm actually disappointed that I live so close.
Well, I said to you, I am enjoying the backyard more because it's a little more peaceful. This block that I live on is a parkway or whatever, and on one end of the street is a grocery store. On the other end of the street is a grocery store. Well, in the other avenue up. So I feel, and the subway is a block away too. Well, it just feels like there's a lot. If we sit on the front stoop, which see that we have the ability to get out in fresh air. It sucks when it's a rainy day like now, but just seeing people walk around, there's so much foot traffic. There's so many people around. De Blasio was on this morning talking about, what's the summer going to look like? And it's just, I keep thinking about you and how lockdown you guys are and how we really never did.
I mean, I'm on the fence about it because some parts of it I think were worth doing, and other parts I'm like they could have been a little more lenient about. In general, people didn't complain too much about it, but I don't know. I'm going with the flow, and I'm just glad I could get out today. What else can I say? And I'm glad that, the nightly clapping sessions that occur at 8:00 every day.
Yeah.
Just to refresh everyone's memory, a couple weeks ago, we clap every night at 8:00, and it's supposed to be for the medical workers and all that. Fine, I'm down with that. I think it's great. But then it became like 8:01. Suddenly, some kid from the apartment buildings here, silence, and then this kid appears out the window and he starts playing hot cross buns on his clarinet in C major, squeaking along.
And I said, that's selfish because this isn't your time. Like, this is time to clap for somebody else. This isn't Star Search.
Search. I love how you didn't say American Idol, but you took it back another. That's great. That's great. Ed McMahon.
Yeah. it's not your time,
Yeah.
Because I relayed that story to somebody else and they thought it was cute. And I said, no, it's not cute. That's not cute. You were out here to applaud. I get it. We do it at 7:00 here. I guess there's been varying stories about people doing music things and people being, creative.
I can see if it's something worth, I don't know, if it's dedicated. This is just a platform for this kid to practice and for everyone to go. Now, right. I start to think that there's something wrong with me. That's why I'm glad I'm talking to you about this, because I'm looking around and I'm noticing out the window that everyone's like
loving it, just thinking.
And I'm like, with the window, I'm like, are we really doing this? I'm looking for.
Go on your YouTube channel, kid. Like I said, you have 23 hours out of the day to for yourself. Everybody thinks they have a platform. You and I right now think we have a platform. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody got their platform. Like that 5 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever is for the fucking healthcare workers. Get your kid in the house and clap and put the clarinet away.
Not to mention, I fucking hate the clarinet. I hate the clarinet.
Horrible, horrible instrument.
So I tell my friend this, who's living down somewhere else. I won't even say because I don't want to let that get out. But I tell someone else here.
In Spain.
Yeah. And I say, can you believe this? And then the next thing out of her mouth was, oh, I let my kids play the recorder. I thought it was a great time for them to practice too. And I'm like, oh, I'm telling the wrong one. Never mind.
The recorder is even worse than the clarinet.
Even worse. Even worse.
Wow.
So thank God that kid disappeared like a fart in the wind over the past week. He's gone. So now it's just about waiting for the next. Sorry?
It's the clap is still strong.
Yeah.
See, I can hear clapping going on an avenue up. But when we stand outside, I don't see anybody else, and I get a little. Oh. I feel like I'm the only one out there doing it.
Well, so you can't take the lead? Is that what?
And then there's somebody walking down the street going to the grocery store, and I'm standing there clapping, and they look at me like, "You're not clapping. They're just walking down the street. Do you realize what time it is? They don't stop."
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of started to. I do it every other day.
You feel like a douche clapping, like,
So sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't.
Well, I've also got this phantom guy up here on the 7th floor. I'm on the 6th floor, right straight across the 7th floor, which is the top of all these buildings. They have a huge like balcony area where they could run if they wanted to. So I'm in my living room every day doing like kickboxing or whatever, and this guy comes out and he is staring me down. And Eduardo's like, he's probably just looking in that direction. I'm like, no, I could see he's looking at me.
You know that he can see into the
Yeah, because the lighting at that time is not, yeah. So I'm like, well, I mean, it's innocent, but it's annoying. Like, should I moon him? Should I do something to spark a story here? Or,
I think you should try something. Yeah.
I should try something.
Yeah. Why not?
Flash a tit or two.
Maybe like hold up a sign or something, see what happens. I've been watching my neighbors back here. Everybody seems very civilized. This one family was like potting plants yesterday. This other family, when it's not raining, they're playing cards. I feel like the backyard is the place that you go to calm down. I think if anybody's screaming at each other, I haven't seen it yet. Oh, the upstairs neighbors though. They kicked somebody out last week. Did I tell you? I think it was right after you and I got done. I said I was going to go and spend the rest of the day outside, and I could hear them yelling from outside. And there was a garbage bag of clothes at the front door. Somebody had to move out. I don't know what happened. It's really hard to understand my upstairs neighbor. Even when I talk to her in person, I don't know. She kind of talks like she has marbles in her mouth. And
She's speaking
even like so when we try to like hear what they're yelling about, like I'll get the TV and we'll like listen when they're yelling at each other. And I still can't understand her. So we try to interpret what's going on. But somebody got kicked out. That's all. That's
that kind of stuff is still going on. I mean, it makes for
well, one less person in the building. That's how I was like, well, because I know that the one person upstairs is an essential worker, whatever the definition of that is. So he's still going to work every day, and and we're just here podcasting. What are we going to do?
Yeah, tomorrow's my last day of online projects with my students, and I can't wait. I got 4 hours straight of that tomorrow.
And what do you mean? Then you're done for the year?
I mean, then I'm done. I mean, then I just have to correct things, but then I started final exams, and that I don't even want to talk about. Except that the way you have to make these exams on the platform is a 1 hour exam is going to take 3 hours to create just because of the electronic input that you have to do, and it's a headache. It's a headache, but I'm using this other system called Whereby, and they're the same thing. It's like Zoom. It's all these other things. It works pretty well, but I've got students showing up late to this thing. I give them a specific time to log in because I've got one right after the other.
Yeah.
How do you show up late to this? I mean, what are you doing?
You're saying like as in, are there days set up where they go from one to the next? Like you can't, what are you in the bathroom?
Like your thing would be Erica is going to do her log on at 10 o'clock, and I'm going to talk to you from 10 to 10:05. Then the next person is going to come in at 10:07, like that.
Okay.
So really, what are you doing that you can't be there even a few minutes before? The smart people come a few minutes before, and I could see they're lined up. You're not showing up. I mean, what are you doing? Where are you?
You said something about your family had a Zoom chat too. That was
Eduardo's family. I actually see. Here's another moment where I said something where no one laughed or gave a reaction. So let me run it by you and see your take on this. So there's like 5 people involved in the chat. Most of them can handle technology. They're with the program here. Eduardo's father, fine, he's 81, so they're like instructing him on how to do it. That I can understand. But his sister, who's like 52, is a total idiot when it comes. She wouldn't even know how to log into email. That's how terrible she is. So they're trying to organize, and of course, you know how this thing is. When one person's talking, another interrupts, and it's just constant. There's no flow of anything. So they're like, "Oh, I'm trying to get so and so on here." So I just stick my head in because Violetta's talking. I stick my head in and I go, "Give me a call when you guys enter the 21st century." And then I,
It might take a while.
no one said anything.
It might take a while.
Like, all you had to do was click on a link. I mean, what are you doing?
Well, if they didn't have, yeah, I know. We've been pretty understanding, but a lot of people have been using it. It's so easy. It really is. I guess if you didn't have an account already, you'd have to create it, which doesn't take long. I don't know. But that's the reason, uh, the cutting off of people and how you can't, when we started doing these interviews with the artists, we've done podcasts where we have like the entire team asking questions because we're all sitting at the same table, and you can kind of point and say like, oh, who wants to ask a question next, kind of direct, and you're all together, how a conversation goes. But over this, like, I was like, it has to be just a one-on-one conversation, like Ronnie doing these interviews. I'm sitting next to him and helping him out, like writing down notes and handing him things. But if I were to get like my friend who I told you about, my friend Audrey, on the Zoom call with Ronnie, with an artist, she cut him off.
Constant.
It just would be like, it would be difficult, because I even noticed when you and I talk, like if we talk over each other, the mic will drop, or you know what I mean, like so you have to, which just is good, why we can see each other, even if you just were to listen to the audio, like we're not cutting each other off because we can see each other at least.
Yeah. No,
But that was why we never wanted to do these type of interviews to begin with, because I just feel like sitting old school, in front of each other was best. But
this is not authentic in the sense of like conversation.
it's as good as we got.
So
we're gonna test out a I don't know if I should say that. I don't think I told you about this. We're gonna try to do a game show.
You did not tell me.
I didn't tell you about the game show. We're gonna try to do a game show. It's gonna be cool. So that's what we're working on for another like video kind of thing, because people can mute themselves, and then the only way they can talk is by hitting the space bar.
Oh, okay.
So that would kind of be, I don't know, we're gonna have to have figure out some way to buzz in and stuff. We were gonna do a test run this week.
I wouldn't mind playing a game with you next week regarding this is weird. I'm going to end with this because I'm just going to go off on a tangent otherwise, but
you didn't want to talk about Stevie Van Zandt? I know that's a whole other thing. We'll talk about a whole
other thing. And yeah,
Stevie Van Zandt next
I've been doing like an hour's worth of painting every day. I haven't told you, but I broke out the old watercolor sets and I've been doing it like an hour a day.
Ross?
No. Well, I shouldn't lie. I've done a happy tree or two, but so while I'm doing this, don't ask me why, but I've been very into like listening to 80s music these days. I don't know why. It puts me in a really good mood. I don't know if it makes me feel like a kid because I'm in the house with my kids.
Tempo.
Yeah, and I'm with my kids who Violetta's 9, so I feel like I'm 9. Where was I when I was 9? You know what I mean? So
want to have fun.
So I'm listening to a lot of that, and I'm hearing things that I haven't heard in so many years, but yet the lyrics are still lurking. I might have to do a little guessing game with you next week. Like, can you? Yeah.
Well, I'll just say a little bit of this. I might have told you about our MTV kind of idea of the platform just being, the people who are making these artists stars. Like that's what MTV was about when it was this new platform. That MTV was a new platform for artists. That the music video idea was like, let's try to sell more records this way. You know what I mean? And some artists were good at it. Some people weren't. Some videos were shitty. Some were amazing. but the people who were a part of MTV in the beginning had all these kind of different roles. Like, so remember Remote Control?
Yes, I love that show.
That's kind of
That
where
was with what's his face?
Colin Quinn.
Colin Quinn. Yeah.
And so we were kind of thinking that we'd have like a straight man person who's got the questions, and then we'd have some help from other people, and maybe, you know, but we're going to start it on Zoom with 3 contestants, 3 rounds. I'm telling too much. That's it.
Yeah. You've got me thinking already. Yeah, that's great.
We'll discuss offline or off.
Okay.
Okay, let's
All right,
wrap
so
it up.
we'll wrap it
April
up.
26th to
Yeah.
2020. We're hunkered in, and we're past the anxiety level. We're acceptance.
We've surrendered.
You've surrendered. How long do you think you'll be in this stage where you're allowed to just go outside a little?
8, 9 months. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you think it's going to be for the rest of the summer?
No, I mean, it'll be slow going. I think by July we should all be out and about, but I can't even imagine getting on a subway or anything anytime soon.
All right, let's end here, and we'll talk again next week.
Yeah.
It'll be May.
It will. May Day.
May Day. All right. Peace.
All right. Love you.
Love you.
Ciao. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, why am I off the thing?
I don't know.
Oh.
Speaker view.